Hey, how's it going? All right, it's a Monday, time for another vlog. Just discussing the road to Life-Saving SA Champs 2022. So I've realized that this isn't going to be a training montage anymore. I've been sick this last week and all this kind of thing, but more than anything, I've realized that there's not enough time for me to put in the amount of work that I want to put in or would feel happy about putting in before SA Champs. So I'm kind of just letting go of the reality, I'm letting go of the idea and accepting the reality that this isn't gonna be some insane comeback season for me. And I need a lot more training if I'm ever gonna try and get back to a level of where I would feel happy to think of myself as competitive again, just because it's not where I'm at in my life, and that's fine. And I've accepted that, and it's taken, I have no choice but to accept it, but I have, and I'm at peace with that. So we're transitioning now from this being the road to Cape Point Challenge of my training build up to actually just a road to Cape Point Challenge discussing life-saving. I have a couple ideas in the pipeline that for the sport, for the club and things like that, that I'm really excited about. And this journey or these recent couple of weeks, it's just been amazing to remember how passionate I am for the sport itself, how much I actually enjoy it, and how much I want to share that with other people, which I think I've mentioned several times. So what I'm actually going to do for this video is I'm just going to explain what the sport of life-saving actually is, because the name doesn't quite describe what it is, and I think a lot of people have a good an idea about it. So basically, the sport of life-saving is made up of a series of events, all somehow related to your fitness, or surf life-saving specifically. So you have surf life-saving and still water life-saving. Still water is what pool lifeguards essentially compete as, and surf life-saving is specifically for the ocean. So let's first make that distinction. There's quite a lot of politics inside of life-saving in general between the two, but I'm not going to get into that. So what is life-saving? So surf life-saving, which is the life-saving that I refer to and the life-saving that I enjoy doing, is a series of events that all bring into all the tests of different skills that lifeguards try and embody. So fitness, surf awareness, the ability to control a craft, the ability, different crafts you have. So you have ski, board, there's an event called tube rescue. So there's lots of these different events that each embody what it means to be a lifeguard, which is at the end of the day, the ability to leave the beach in a quick manner in order to collect someone and bring them back in so that they can get medical treatment. And that's like the basis of life-saving the sport. And so basically it started when a whole bunch of guys were like, we sit on the beach for 8 hours a day, why don't we see who can do things faster? And then when you get a whole bunch of competitive people together, they call it a race. And then the sport's evolved over the years. It's massive in Australia. That kind of is the country that leads surf life-saving. They've got a phenomenal, what is called the Nutrigrain Ironman series circuit. Seriously, if you carry on watching this video at the end of it, definitely go check out Nutrigrain's life-savings, Nutrigrain's Ironman series on YouTube. You'll see some videos, very cool. Spend some time checking it out. And that's like the pinnacle of what it would mean to be a professional lifeguard, would probably be to compete in that series. But there's World's Life-Saving, which is obviously every country in the world. It's actually quite a big sport when you think about it. But it's also a feeder sport for a whole bunch of other things like paddling. One of the events in life-saving is a ski race around the can. So anyway, I digress. So what are the different events that we have? So each event is basically, you get a surf arena, which is the water, and then you get a beach arena. Now the beach events are, these obviously events that you don't need to go in the water. So there's flags, which is an interesting event because it's a 20-minute dash. So you start the flags event by everyone lines up on a line and everyone lies down with their head on their hands like this, and then the call is competitors ready, you raise your heads. Obviously this is when you feel ready and comfortable in your position, heads down, and then the whistle blows and then everyone jumps up and spins around or spins around and jumps up depending how good you are. And you dash across about 20 meters of sand, and you get about 30 people on the line, and then there's 29 battens. And so everyone dives for these, it's literally hose pipe tubes, and everyone dives to get this, and dives to go get this. It's very, very physical, a lot of fun, very entertaining, incredibly dangerous. Like the amount of injuries, I mean, just one of my mates now fractured his hand doing flags. So it's a very physical sport, very entertaining. The flags event, okay? Then you get beach sprints, which is basically exactly what it is. It's an 80-meter dash on the beach, and then you get long run, which is a longer race. Oh yeah, I should actually explain how it works. So at a life-saving competition, there's all these different events, and there's different age groups as well. So there's a male and females divided, and then there's an under 15, under 17, under 19, and then an open age category. And so every team has a set number of competitors in each of these guys. Well, not really set, but it's whoever you have, and then you go and do these events. So I just explained the beach ones, and then at the end, obviously, the winners are the people who've scored the most points. So it's an individual event. It's an individual competition. Every race is an individual, but it's a team. Okay, let me rephrase. Every race is an individual race. Every race you get online, you want to win. But the competition is a team competition. So it brings into play a very interesting dynamic of, let's say for flags, for instance, if I'm jumping up and spinning, I'm going to try and keep my fisher competitors in, or my teammates in order to get the points, which adds a lot of strategy to the higher level stuff when there's a lot of great competitors. It can get very interesting when you start watching the dynamics of that, which is, again, one of the aspects of the sport that I love. Okay, so I just went over the flags, sprints, and then long run. Now there's a sprints relay as well. I'm not really going to talk about team events in this one because, frankly, there's a lot of them. Okay, and then next we have surf swim. So surf swim is an individual event where you swim out into the surf around a set of buoys and back in. I think the distance is somewhere between 400 to 500 meters. So it's a short swim. It's not. I mean, each race takes about 5 minutes max. But the problem is that there's a lot of things that go on. So surf swim, something I've never been able to do. I'm a terrible swimmer compared to the rest of the guys. Like, we have some incredibly talented swimmers in lifesaving. So you get surf swim, you get the board race. Now this is longer than the swim. The cans are a little bit further out for the board race. This was always the event that I really enjoyed and loved doing. And that's, we race a board called a Malibu, which is like a knee board. So it's like a thick surfboard, so literally like this thick. So you're constantly on top of the water with padding on it and handles, and you race this by going on your knees. That's the best way to do it. Some people do it lying down, but the reality is on your knees you have a bigger pull, stronger stroke, and you can go much faster. And that's a lot of fun because it comes into the account of, you race out through the waves, you paddle across the back line, and now you're coming back in and you're trying to look for the bumps and all that kind of thing on the way back in, which makes it very entertaining. So that's the board race. Then you have a surf ski race, which is longer than the board and the swim, and that is racing life-saving skis, which is a specific type of surf ski, or a specific type of ski called a surf ski, where there's a minimum weight, which I believe is 15 or 18 kilograms. So it's a heavier boat than most of us will race for long distance, which is probably 12, around about there if you have quite a light boat. So you race this heavy boat through the surf, and then the boats are also made much harder, and you bash into people, which is quite fun and makes for some phenomenal racing and some very entertaining surf stuff. So, and that's also, surf ski is one of the more entertaining ones, because one of the things about a surf ski is if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, there's very little you can do. So the entire point of the race is try to minimize your risk of getting knocked out at the wrong time, but also being the first person to the can. So it brings in a lot of dynamics. So that's swim, board, surf, ski, and then there's something called an Ironman, which is like the pinnacle event, and always has been the pinnacle event. And this is the combination of all sorts of swim, board, ski. You swim around the cans, you board around, you run in between, you board around the cans, and then you ski around the cans, and they mix up the order as well, which makes it even more interesting and all that kind of thing. So that's kind of a brief touch on all the individual events. Now there's a different set of team events, which I'll talk about in next week's video. But again, just touching on sorry, I just kicked the table. So the nature of why the sport is so cool is that, or at least for me, is that it requires so much fitness to be able to do a life-saving event. And I was thinking about this last week when I was watching the guys train. In order to complete a race is very, very difficult. To paddle a board is hard. To paddle a board through surf is much harder. To do it fast is incredibly difficult. It's very tippy. You fall off the surf ski as well. It's a heavy thing. And so under 15s, under 17s, under 19s, watching these guys get better at it is very entertaining. But the sport itself requires a lot of fitness and skill and awareness. And when you bring into the team element, it makes this sport that is so focused on the individual, about, you need to win by being the fastest. It's so based on the entire team on the line and that kind of thing when it comes to riding slip. And it's a sport that I think is underrated because you don't really have a good idea of what I've just explained right now. Because I know that when we talk about conditions, when we talk what's it like when there's a cross shore, what's it like when there's a rip in the arena, what's it like if there's swell, if there's no swell, if there's wind, if there's no wind, what's it like taking into account all these dynamic elements to the sport that I can't really describe unless I can describe, but it's going to take a long time, that creates this dynamicness to the race, which is so entertaining. For me, one of the things I dislike about sprint, like a track race, is that it's even the fastest guy's going to win. In lifesaving, anyone on the line can win. I mean, I've seen guys come from 13th place, catch the right wave, body surf over all the swimmers, run up and take gold. And so there's this element to the unpredictability of the sport, which for me adds so much value, because everyone on the line is fit. Everyone on the line can do this thing, but it's like, who gets the perfect line? And for me, that's really entertaining and something that I'm hoping to show in some way. I haven't figured it out just yet, but I'm wanting to kind of express that as we go through, because I think it offers a different dynamic. I mean, when you play water polo, everyone's on the same team. But imagine playing water polo with a wave that breaks every now and then. So not only your teammates got to be there, you've got to think about the conditions and all this sort of stuff. And so it adds an element to a race that I find I haven't been able to find in any other kind of event, at least for me. And the thing is, it's all short. It's all 5-minute races, so it's not like it's a lot of time. It's not like it's a marathon where you lose. I don't know, like it's a long distance paddle where you get taken out by a wave. Like, okay, but now it's only 5 minutes, so it's like quick. But so that's just talking a little bit about what lifesaving is. I think next week I'll talk a little bit more about the team events, because that even gets more exciting. But in general, so there's the long run. It's about a 2.5 to 3 kilometer run on the beach in soft sand, which destroys. Flags, which is the one where you lie down, you sprint 20 meters. You have this beach sprint, which is about an 80-meter dash. Then you have the swim, board, and ski. And all of the rest of the team events incorporate all of these things into them. And it's very, very cool and very exciting. So if you haven't heard about lifesaving, firstly, why are you watching my channel? This is only for lifeguards. But spend some time, check out the Nutrigrain Ironman series, Google it a little bit. There's a lot of phenomenal videos of what it's like to do that kind of thing. Those guys are top class, phenomenal athletes. So if it's a sport that interests you, I highly encourage you to try it, because it's difficult, but it is a lot of fun. Anyway, that's the video for today. I'm probably not gonna be training that hard for Acer Champs. I'm letting go of this idea of going for it, but I do want to talk about the sport a lot. But cool. Have a good day, week, year in life, and I'll check you next one. Cheers.